Hey everyone, this is Nintendo Super Podcast. This is your host, Andres Restart, and I am joined by our team, NintendoAndy, Monolith Gaming, and Inside Gaming Online. This is episode 4, and we have a lot to talk about this week. Say hello, everyone.
What's
Hey,
up?
So, so what we've been doing, we've been having a few topics, and we have an allotted amount of time for each topic. And then at the end of each topic, we're going to speak 10 minutes for each topic. We'll have the option to add 5 minutes to one topic, but we can only do this once. So we have to keep that in mind, so to make sure we actually have the ability to completely voice our opinions. So with that, let's get started with our very first topic of the podcast and also evening. But we could have recorded this morning, but we're not. Anyways, so here it is. Retro Studios got active on Twitter recently. They Pierce Schneider tweeted at Retro Studios. He's like one of the big guys at IGN. He runs things over there. He's run it for years beautifully. And he's like, "Hey, so what are you guys up to? What's going on?" And well, Retro Studios tweeted back at him a picture of food. And this food had some sides and a very delectable selection of meat. And many are describing it as primed rib. So, in case you didn't get what I was referencing, I am talking about Prime. There was an emphasis on Prime, and a lot of people were thinking that Retro just kind of really soft core sort of hinted that they're working on Metroid. Now, there have been rumors that Metroid's been in the works, been in development, but could Retro Studios really be the team that's developing it? I don't know. What do you guys think?
See, I thought they were talking about a new Transformers game, but I guess I'm wrong.
Oh my god.
Nah, they also did a follow-up February 2nd of a post that shows a Scrabble board, and it says
Yeah.
patience. So I hope that they're working on a new Metroid game because I loved the trilogy. I hated the other M. I wasn't a fan of it. And it's I think it's about due. We need a Metroid Retro Studios game.
Well, I mean, I think it's coming. There's a lot of reasons why I think it's coming. Well, one, because we've been begging for it for a really long time. And I mean, you look at what they're doing with Breath of the Wild. Their entire basically everything they're doing with the Nintendo Switch. And look at Super Mario Odyssey. Nintendo is listening to us, and they're trying to give us what we want. And they really want to bring in the hardcore gamers at first. And we'll get into why they want to bring the hardcore gamers later on in this podcast. But they really want to bring them in, and Metroid is something that could really help to do that. And there's a lot of talk about how Nintendo's hardware is weak, and a game that could really show off what the hardware could do would be a ground up built Metroid Prime game, or a Metroid Prime esque kind of game. So I think it's in the works. Back in that E3 a couple E3s ago, they're like, "Oh, we're not working on Metroid. Unfortunately, the Wii U sucks. We can't do it. If anything, it's come out on the next system." And then Federation Force came out, and everyone hated that because there was no Metroid announced. And then at the end of Federation Force, there was a teaser. Then, if you played Metroid Prime 3 and you finished it at 100%, there is a special scene, and this special scene relates to this teaser at the end of Federation Force. So a lot of people are thinking that there is another Prime game in the works at some point in the pipeline. So I do think a Metroid could be in development. I think it's likely, but I don't know if Retro Studios would be the team to make it, because Retro Studios talent has changed dramatically over the years. I don't know whatever they do, it won't be the same. I'm not saying it would be worse, but it would definitely be different.
I don't know. What do you guys think?
uh, man, I was so obsessed to try to find out if this was true. I actually spent like 3 hours Googling Houston steak places to see if I could find that same picture. I literally spent 3 hours because I wanted to see if they just took that picture, off the internet and just hey, look, it's prime rib. But maybe they were just eating and maybe they just posted that. I don't know, man. I really do hope that they're working on a Metroid Prime. I feel that it's just a game that needs to be on the Nintendo Switch. It really does.
I
And
think that we are just so overdue for an actual Metroid game, and everyone's been clamoring for a new game for so long. And yeah, like Andre said, Nintendo is really showing that they're listening to their fans. Um, so I do think that a game is being made, although there's been like a million other times where everyone thought that they were teasing Metroid when they weren't.
Oh yeah, I know.
Like
Yeah.
so many times. Like one specific time I can remember is
Well,
at the Game Awards, like 2012. Reggie wore like a Metroid pin,
it
and then
got
like
cranky
everyone thought,
Kong.
yeah, yeah, and everyone like was freaking out about that, and also like E3, and yeah, the Federation Force. That's obviously more of a concrete
Yeah.
tease, but like we've been dealing with this for a while.
For those listeners who are the pessimists and just refuse to believe that there could be a Metroid in development at all, just let me say this: Federation Force is called Metroid Prime Federation Force. What does that mean? That means that they're still using the Metroid Prime franchise. Okay, this is a spin-off title that has come out years after Metroid Prime 3. So all I'm saying is that the Metroid Prime franchise is not dead yet. There's still more to it. They're not going to release spin-offs if they just intended on having that trilogy and nothing else. There are plans for more, especially when you consider the teaser at the end of Federation Force that links up with the end of Metroid Prime 3. So there's something going on in terms of plot, which means they do want to continue that. But of course, people have also been waiting for Half-Life 3 for, well, quite some time. And that story is also unended and has tons of, you know, things that need to be finished up. So there is also that. But I'm just letting you guys know that the franchise is still alive.
Do
It's
you
just a question
do you,
of it. Go on.
do you think it's possible that it could have happened the same way that Zelda Breath of the Wild, where it was delayed? Breath of the Wild was supposed to come out in 2015. It was delayed until 2017. Maybe they really thought that the Wii U would sell more, and maybe Metroid Prime was originally supposed to be, or 4 was really supposed to be for the Wii U, and since they saw that the Wii U was a failed, a sinking ship, maybe they just delayed it because they had to rework on it completely to port it over to the Switch. But at the same time, they already had this game, Federation Force. Because to me, it doesn't make any sense to put out a game that's titled Metroid Prime on and that has doesn't even have Samus as a playable character. You know what I mean? It's
You're
it
saying
would
that the Federation Force was originally planned to be a companion game.
yes, yes,
That's
maybe.
that's an interesting idea, and I don't think it's maybe. But I will say this: look at the games that came out for Wii U. Most of the games that came out for Wii U, in my opinion, are low budget titles. Like, yeah, a lot of people will defend the Wii U's games, and it did have good games. It had a lot of quality games, but there weren't those AAA killer app titles that made you feel like you need to get the system. The closest thing to that could be maybe Xenoblade X. And do you guys know what I'm talking about? Like Breath of the Wild,
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
We didn't get that the entire system's life cycle. The only game that's close to it is Xenoblade X, and Xenoblade X is that, but to a lesser degree. And Zelda's coming out 2017. The Wii U's already dead. So the reason for that is because the Wii U wasn't worth the investment, not even for Nintendo. Yeah, part of the reason we didn't get a lot of kick-ass games of grand scale was because Nintendo was still getting used to HD development, right? Because they lived in the Wii era. They were just chilling in the Wii era, just making SD, you know? But they needed to adapt to that. But then the Wii U wasn't worth the investment, which is why Breath of the Wild is coming on the Switch, which is why Mario Kart is being remade for the Switch, which is why they're reusing a lot of the assets for Splatoon, and they're bringing over these achievements that were made on the Wii U, and they're actually trying to get the bang for the buck here. So when it comes to Metroid, maybe it was in the cards, but it wasn't worth the investment at the time. You're not going to invest all this time and money and effort to put it on to create this game and put it on a dying console, which is why if it was in the works, it probably moved it over to the Switch. Same thing with Pikmin 4. We know Pikmin 4 has been done for like a year already. We haven't seen any footage for it at all. So
Also, Metroid isn't the only game to missed a Wii U release, like actual like Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
There wasn't an
Yeah,
actual Animal Crossing game. There was
it
no
was
Fire Emblem.
festival party.
Yeah, so I mean, wouldn't necessarily surprise me if they just completely didn't even bother trying to make a
I mean,
Metroid game for the Wii
even
U,
Star
but because they
Fox
also didn't
was
make one for the N64.
no. I mean, sometimes things skip around. Well, they were trying to make a Metroid for the N64, but development pushed on to the GameCube. Well, like initially they weren't sure if it was gonna be on the N64 or not, but they were trying to. But you know the way things go on, and it eventually just became a GameCube game.
It's
Um,
true.
so, but I mean, sometimes games just skip consoles. But look at Star Fox Zero. That game is
I wish I would have
clearly
skipped
a
console.
low budget. There was no Star Fox for Wii either, though. I'm just saying that game is clearly a budget title. Just another example of them not investing that much on the Wii U. But they are investing on the Nintendo Switch. Nintendo's going all in. They've been in hibernation throughout the entire Wii U era, and Nintendo's coming back with a vengeance. Like, this is the kind of Nintendo going back to the GameCube days, except with better marketing and not a console that has limitations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And I think that going back to January 13th of this year, when asked about Metroid, a new Metroid game, and also Mother 3, Rezi Fils-Aimé told them, let's
we
see
hit
where
5
we
minutes.
are a year from now.
We hit 5 minutes.
So
Do we want to add another 5? I mean, we hit 10 minutes. I'm sorry. Do you want to hit another 5 of this conversation?
now we can move on.
All right. So finish your thought though.
Yeah, last month Reggie Fils-Aimé told an interviewer that let's see where we are a year from now when asked about Metroid.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm almost certain, like 99.999% sure that they're gonna drop some Metroid news
All,
at E3.
all I'm gonna say is that Metroid is as confirmed as Beyond Good and Evil is. So
I'm pretty sure we'll see that. So
right, but we haven't seen either yet. Yet we're still in the beginning of February. It's a long year. E3 hasn't come around. All right. So unless anyone has anything they feel they need to add, I feel like we should move on to the next topic.
No.
And that is the Super Bowl commercial. I'm sure most Nintendo fans already saw the Super Bowl commercial, the short and expanded version, and I'm really excited about so much stuff around that. And basically, we didn't plan on talking about Zelda today, but because we're talking about the Super Bowl commercial, we're going to talk about Zelda anyways. And I'm really excited about Zelda, and that Super Bowl commercial showing off Zelda to the masses. Like, I feel like that could really get a lot of people excited. It's going to show off Zelda and on this awesome looking console. And we can argue about the success of the commercial or not, but I feel like the fact that Nintendo has this really awesome commercial with this really awesome game, and they've had awesome commercials as of late, and then they putting out during the Super Bowl. These are all things we don't expect from Nintendo. Nintendo doesn't really make commercials, and when they do, it's rare and few and far between. When it is, it's not very cool. Rarely, right? And it's not even. It's not just that they're cool commercials. They are cool commercials during the coolest times to show the commercials with the coolest freaking game. Okay, like it's just I'm really excited about the direction Nintendo's going in with their marketing, with their attitude, with what they're doing with their software and their hardware. It's just a whole new look for Nintendo, and they really are switching it up. Anyways, what are you guys' thoughts on the commercial and well everything about this? So
Well, to me, Nintendo during the Wii U days was like that skinny middle school kid, and then
no,
he spends his whole summer working out and he gets buff and he comes back in high school and he's just like a huge beast. And that's what I see them as right now because they're super aggressive right now. And
mhm.
like you said, Andres, you can argue whether or not that was successful, but that was ballsy. You got to admit. I mean, to put a 30-second commercial, no, no. I mean, there was nothing like that during the whole Super Bowl. There was no commercial like that, and and it did get a lot of attention. Whether or not, like you said earlier, Andre, we were talking about it. Whether or not that it's going to show successful, it's going to be in the sales later on. That's when we'll see. But I did. Oh, I wanted to. Okay, someone else take over. I wanted to read something that I found here online, but someone else take over while I look for it.
Okay. Well, I'll just point out that a lot of people the extended version of the commercial like almost like tripled in views over the span of a day after we saw the Super Bowl. So yeah, maybe 2 million is not gonna. Those 2 million views aren't gonna necessarily make up for the $5 million they spent on the commercial, but that's a lot of people that were interested in the system and wanted to see the commercial. And those people who watch that commercial, when you watch a minute 30 version, you really get a good idea of what the system can do. Like for a minute and 30 seconds, they pretty much explain almost all the main features of the system. So I just think the marketing for these commercials is really well done, really effective, and they're really getting the idea across. And I mean, it's brilliant.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well. Oh, sorry.
I missed the commercial, but
Go ahead.
like everybody else, I seen it way before that, and I actually went back and checked out people reacting to the commercial, which I'm not a big fan of. I'm not a big fan of watching people react to stuff, but it was still interesting in itself that people are posting reaction videos to a 30-second commercial that they
True.
already seen, but it's still pretty cool. Um, I think that it was a good job that they did it in the fourth quarter. And when I was on Twitter, a lot of people were talking about how the Switch commercial switched game momentum, and
Right. I mean, like what the Patriots had like 8 points with like 6 minutes
yeah,
left in the fourth quarter.
like
The Switch commercial came on,
yeah,
and then
people were saying
and
that
then
like
Brady
that
switched it
Tom
up.
Brady was waiting for the Switch commercial to come on before he pumped it up,
He was
and
probably on his phone in the bench. He's like, "Yes, Nintendo is back, baby, and so are the Patriots." And then he just made history.
what what I wanted. Have you finished your thought, Sean? I don't want to cut you off.
yeah, I thought it was good advertisement. I personally like the extended commercial better, but the commercial made its point. New system from Nintendo Portable, new Zelda, and a lot of people on my Facebook that aren't even video game fans were talking about like, hey, there's a new Zelda game, and there's a new Nintendo system. So I think it got a lot of people talking. A lot of people that's not in the circle, the
When I
inner
hear about
gaming
people
circle.
that don't know what the next Zelda
Yeah,
or the Nintendo Switch, it kind of annoys me. It's like, how could you not know? Like, how could you
yeah,
not know?
Yeah.
Right? But like that just goes to show, like, I'm gonna take my elitism out of the way because I know there's tons of things I don't know about, right? That other people be like, oh, why don't you know about that, you fucking fool, whatever. But uh,
wedding.
yeah, just put the coin. Anyways, like
So,
I lost my thought. You go.
oh, real quick. Okay, so I found this website. It's called vidstatsx.com, and it
Okay.
it actually tells you all the statistics of YouTube channels, right? So the last 2 months, all right. So total subscribers for Nintendo right now are 2,424. The last 2 months, they've added 300,000 subscribers in just the last 2 months.
That's one
So
YouTube career.
yeah,
That's awesome.
I mean, that's amazing. This just, to me, the momentum that's carrying them, just helped it. You know what I mean? This is all, they already had momentum with the Switch and with the name brand of Nintendo, and this just is even pushing it even farther. It's not the end, but it's just another step towards what what their goal
No,
is.
I mean exactly, and I think that's the big thing here is that Nintendo actually started this momentum a long time ago. It's hard to say when exactly it started. I think you know when it started. Which E3 was it? I feel like there was an E. You know what? There were a couple E3s during the Wii U era where I feel like they tried to start something, but it just wasn't enough. Like the last couple of years, they try to get themselves, change things, but it just wasn't enough, right? And you know what? I'm gonna. I don't know when exactly it was, but I'm gonna say maybe the big moment was Zelda at E3.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, because you got the
'Cause-
Zelda at E3, right? And everyone was like, "Oh, Nintendo only has one game at E3. Big
Yeah, I
whoop de
remember that.
doo.
Man,
yeah, and they kicked ass.
oh my
No
gosh.
NX. They're not gonna show that's all the Wii U and Zelda, except." And then that was the most. I mean, the numbers show that was the most that it was the most successful game ever at an E3. Like one game a show, the lines were longer than any other recorded lines in history for E3. It was the most trending title by a long shot on the internet during that time. Like it couldn't have been any more successful.
Don't forget that huge stampede at the end of it.
Right.
Oh yeah.
People got hurt.
Yeah.
was running to go play it.
That was the beginning. And then,
I think
Pokemon
that was the
Go
last
came
day.
out.
Yeah, it was
Pokemon Go came
the
out.
last day when they all
Yeah.
rushed in. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm just saying, like they've released Pokemon Go, and that everyone knows how successful Pokemon Go was. Like, they literally changed the face of our culture with Pokemon Go,
Yep.
right? And then they made this announcement with Universal Studios, and then they showed off the Nintendo Switch trailer, the initial reveal, the sneak peek, and that was super exciting. A lot of people were talking about that, and then Mario Run came out, and that was really successful too. And then the Nintendo Switch presentation did so well. And then now Fire Emblem Heroes, like they're maintaining this momentum and they're marketing the system really well. And they're just these different things. I mean, they had the escape rooms.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
another
um,
thing. They're
real
gonna
real
have
quick,
movies in the future. Go on.
real quick. Mojo Top 10 did a top 10 trailers in January, and guess what was number one? Super Mario. I'm forgetting the name now. Odyssey. Super Mario Odyssey was number one, and that got a lot of views too. So
Hmm.
That's a
that's also a
travesty of
huge
Yeah.
thing.
justice.
It's
I'm
almost at
sorry.
12 million views.
Breath of the
Yeah.
Wild is a better trailer.
Yeah, I agree.
It is.
But
I mean,
Mario's
okay,
more
well, yeah, but Mario's more
mainstream.
exciting because it's a first look at Mario, like seriously.
Yeah.
So I understand that. I mean, Zelda's already had multiple trailers already, and as far as trailers, as far as like the third or fourth trailer or fifth trailer, and tons of demos for a game, like that Breath of the Wild trailer has like 8 million views or something. So it's not that far behind the Odyssey trailer either. So I think that says a lot as well. But yeah, so they had these trailers that Nintendo's been trending for a really long time. Like during the holiday season, when PlayStation had the VR, PS4 Pro, a few big games coming out like Final Fantasy 15 and The Last Guardian, Nintendo was still being searched on Google like 2 or 3 times as much. Like,
Yeah.
which is
Because
crazy.
you
Nintendo
got
had
the
nothing.
Nintendo Classic Mini as well that just went
Right.
crazy, and it's
The
still going
NES
crazy. You
Mini.
can't find those in the store.
Right.
Yep.
So you have all these different things that Nintendo's been doing, like just reminding people, hey, Nintendo exists. Hey, Nintendo this. Hey, Nintendo that. And it just Nintendo has been building up this momentum, even without a console that can really do it. And in Pokemon Sun and Moon, I mean that's the best selling Pokemon game ever for the amount of time it's been out. And that's another thing. So all these different things have been building up momentum, and the Super Bowl commercial is just another thing to maintain the momentum. They even said that this is just the beginning of an 18-month marketing campaign, which is incredible.
Yeah.
So we hit the 10-minute mark. Is there anything anyone wants to add?
I, s-
Younger
I
Sean,
s-
I know you had a lot to say about this. Is there anything you want to say about the Super Bowl commercial before we move on? Unless we had to add 5 minutes.
let's have five
Um.
minutes.
Let's add the 5 minutes. Let's
Yeah,
go.
just
Okay.
All right, Sean, floor is
So
yours.
my personal opinion about the whole thing is, you guys know obviously, but
Well,
for everyone
let our
else,
viewers know.
yeah, is that I don't think that it really made that much of an impact, at least in terms of the Super Bowl itself. I mean, we saw that it was only like the 34th, I think it was, most searched term,
Well,
like in the Super
actually,
Bowl.
it was that was 3 hours after it originally aired. From the moment that originally aired, I only searched it 3 hours after, and at that point, it was 34th trending on Google. So it could have been number one or top 10 or top five. I'm not sure when it first came out.
Yeah, that is true. But
It
yeah,
still didn't
I mean, I
hold.
was in a huge movie theater with like a lot of people that was in that place. I mean, it was completely jam packed, and when it was full, I mean, when the commercial played, nothing really happened. Like no one even like said a word. But also, just
Wait!
so
But
you guys know,
don't you live in New England?
yeah, I was just about to say,
Oh, come on, man! Everybody's focused on the game, man.
yeah, but
Wicked
there
Tom
was,
Brady.
Oh, everyone was super upset because you guys had 8 points. It was an
yeah,
eight
I know
eight to
that's literally
twenty
what I
nine
was just about to
deficit.
say. But anyways, uh,
I mean, no,
Yeah.
but I understand what you're saying
I
though,
know what you mean. Yeah, yeah. Me too. Yeah,
because
I get what you're saying.
and actually, you know what? I didn't watch the Super Bowl. You should all hate me. Whatever. I'm un-American. I love basketball though, so there's that. Um, but I saw a bit of the Super Bowl during Obi-Wan's stream, and obviously, everyone who's watching the stream is excited about for the commercial, but the commercial that came before it, and then the Switch commercial, and then the Switch commercial happened, like, it just didn't seem very impactful. Like, I like the commercial. I think it's a fantastic commercial alone. And according to the ratings, it's one of the best. Like, they had like that 500 people survey, and it was like ranked fourth out of all the commercials. Like, it's really good. But when you put that commercial in with a whole bunch of other louder commercials, it may not stand out as much. So I understand where you're coming from, Sean. Like, I don't think the commercial is gonna it's not like a giant success, but I just think it's a piece to this long marathon of marketing Nintendo and like just changing that negative opinion that people have had of Nintendo the last like 5 or 10 years or so. Not 10 years isn't exact, 4 or 5 years with the Wii U era.
Yeah, and if anything, it shows that Nintendo is seriously behind this product. If they're gonna, fork out $5 million to put an ad on the Super
Yeah,
Bowl,
that's a
so
lot of
that
money though.
just, yeah, that shows that like, okay, well, Nintendo's all in, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I think it's not a commercial that it's meant to for you to be stand up and cheer or or just be super hyped of it. It's
Yeah.
I think it's mostly, hey, this is Nintendo and we're creating something. This is a new Nintendo system coming out. Just to let you guys know. It's a we didn't have that with the Wii U. Man, I'm a diehard Nintendo fan. And even I was like, "Oh, there's a Wii U?" Like right before like a month before it came out. Like a lot of people and still people still to this day I will say, "Hey, you have a Wii U?" "Oh yeah, I have one." "Yeah." "No, that's a Wii. That's not a Wii U." That's still to this day people don't know that. That's how horrible that marketing, that whole marketing was for that system.
I just want to
And
forget about it. I
yeah.
just want to forget it happened. I just want to forget. I like my Wii U. I enjoy my Wii U, but I don't like talking about it with other people. And the name of it sucks. Wii U.
You
Wii
don't like
Yes.
talking
U.
about your Wii?
EU.
It's just, ugh.
One last thing before we get off of this topic, I still think they should have used the guy playing Mario Kart and taking a dump because that
Yes.
was like,
That would have been awesome.
Switch.
yeah, guy making
Um,
faces.
that would have
He's
that
like,
would have
is he
been.
making
You
is
know
he making
what?
a
That would
face
have
because it's
gone
hard
more
or
with. Yeah, yeah, it would have had a different feel
Yeah,
entirely. But Mario Kart's also not coming out until April, late April. So the timing
yeah,
of it wouldn't have been good. And I feel
yeah.
like when you have Zelda on the toilet, yeah, it's awesome, but at the same time, I feel like that kind of tarnishes the name of Zelda. Like Zelda's a very serious franchise. So you don't.
yeah. Open up a chest while you're taking a bowel movement. Come on,
Yeah,
that's very classy.
yeah. So yeah, I think we're good here. Is there any closing thoughts on the Super Bowl commercial? No,
No,
good, cool. So the timer's hit, and I think it's time to talk about the Time interview. Now I think we all read it, and there's a lot there, but a lot of it's things we've already heard about. But there are some things that they talked about, they touched upon that I think are really interesting and worth continuing the conversations on. So one of which is they made a reference to potential upgrades in the future for the Nintendo Switch. Now, if you've been following the Nintendo Switch, the Nintendo NX, and all the rumors and patents and such, there have been some things that would lend itself to that ability to upgrade. Now, there's this thing called the supplemental computing device. Essentially, there are certain patents from Nintendo, published by Nintendo, that there's an apparatus that's been planned that you can plug into your system that will essentially boost its power, to put it simply. And I can see in the future that maybe Nintendo, like the way the Nintendo Switch works, like you have the base system that's on the go, but you have these docks, right? So let's say in the future, a year or two down the line, Nintendo releases Nintendo Switch 4K VR dock, right? So for $150, they release this dock that has an additional GPU in it, and it allows you to not just play your game at 1080p, but 4K at 60 frames per second. And it also gives it that power boost that you need for VR or whatever. And that way, you don't have to buy a whole other system like the PS4 Pro or the Xbox Scorpio to go and play 4K gaming. I think there is an opportunity there to do something like that. I mean, if Sony and Microsoft think it's worth doing, then it may be worth Nintendo doing as well, especially if they found a way to do it in a cheaper way. So I think it's interesting. What do you guys think?
See, who
Great.
wants to
You guys.
tackle this first? I'll go first.
All right.
It's an interesting article. One of the things that I got out of it is that I like that Nintendo is showing many faces of the company.
Mm-hmm.
This interview is with Takahashi and Kizumi, and I just think it's cool that they're starting to show these faces that that have been not seen for the last 20 or 30 years, and if we have seen them, it's just in little glimpses or. But I think it's a great idea. Nintendo is putting themselves at a spot where they can upgrade stuff without it being expensive.
Yeah.
If they want, like you said, if they want a new dock for 4K, they could sell it a lot cheaper because you got the system. Um, they can make a different screen down the road without controllers that you can attach the old controllers to. So the position they put them in, I think, is in a very good position because it gives them more options going down the
I
road.
I agree
And
completely. I There's just something about the Nintendo Switch. Like I think it's the way they designed it. It's just so smart because
yeah,
it can do all these different things, but in a very clever, seamless transition kind of way. Like it can. There's just so many different directions they could take the Switch. It's built for the future. It's built.
mhm.
It's future proof because it can upgrade in any sort of way, and you can do so much with it. It's just I can go on and on about this, but there's. I mean, what do you guys, Sean? Younger Sean, what do you think?
Um, I personally can't really like think. I don't really have any like ideas as to what they could like put on the Switch while it's docked and the controls are off. I tried for a little bit to try to think of something, but yeah, I'm not like my brain doesn't think like that.
I
But
remember you were telling me about the potential for VR before this we even knew what the Switch was when it was the NX. And there are
yeah,
patents for it. Like you literally can take the screen, put it into a headset, and then you have your VR headset. Like
right, like the Samsung VR and the Google Cardboard.
Mhm.
right. Like you literally just need a headset to plug your Switch into. And the controllers, apparently according to certain developers, is just as good as like the Oculus Rift controllers. Like they have advanced motion controls. They have HD Rumble, which gives you a whole other tactile feedback. So like the Switch is essentially geared for VR. Though there
Yeah, you
was
won't
a
have to spend $400 on something else just to play
no,
it.
you don't have to
I'm
pay for.
pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that I saw something online where it was in an interview, and it was with someone from Nintendo, and they said that the one thing that they're trying to work with that it could basically the way they were talking is that they already have a game that they're working on, and they said the one thing that they're trying to work on is the time that you are playing while in VR mode. Like maybe it's too long. You know how Nintendo
Well,
always.
I don't know what you're talking about. The problem is that for VR in general, you can't play for that long without getting motion sickness. A
Yeah,
lot of people
yeah,
get motion sick, so they're trying to solve the motion sickness problem, which is
yeah.
one of the main things that's holding back VR. Right? But so here's the thing, right? Like so Nintendo's been out of the VR market, but they are literally on the cusp of solving the VR market because the things that are holding the VR back from being successful are two to three things. One, it's way too freaking expensive for the average
Mhm.
consumer, right? And here we have the Nintendo Switch, and at $300, it literally comes with everything you need for VR aside from the headset, right? It comes with the controllers, it comes with the system, it comes with the screen. It's all there already at $300. You
Yep.
compare it to PlayStation VR, which you need the VR system, which is $400. You need like an iToy, which is another $50. You need the controller, which is like another $50, $60, and then you need the PS4 Pro. That's another so we're talking about basically about almost $1,000 here to play VR on PlayStation. Almost. Right. Actually, Sean, you have VR, right? PlayStation VR.
No, I was looking into getting it, but I can't find it anywhere around here, which is
Okay.
surprising. Um, but I'm probably going to get it because I'm curious about how Resident Evil is, and I always buy new stuff to play with.
Right.
So
You want to fully experience it.
yeah, I'm not
Are
totally sold on VR though because it is expensive. I mean, like you said, the bundle, the headsets with the camera and two move controllers is $500, and then you throw in there either the PlayStation 4 or the PlayStation 4 Pro, and that's $800 to $900 just to play a couple of VR games. Um, I'm not sold on it yet, but I am interested in picking it up just to see what all the hype is about.
so they have this. They could potentially solve the whole price issue with the Nintendo Switch and simply adding a headset. But then they're also trying to solve the motion sickness issue. They solve those two things, all of a sudden VR could become mainstream, could become high quality. Now it
Yeah.
does come down to the headset. I think the headset's very important. If the headset can solve motion sickness, if it can give the Switch the little improvements that it needs to run VR properly, then maybe that can happen in the future.
I also want to
Um,
point out that at E3, the past E3, Reggie was asked about VR, and he said that Nintendo doesn't like the fact that you're always playing like by yourself. There's no like local multiplayer
Right.
aspects of it, and they said that they were looking into trying to come up with solutions for that. So that's also another thing that they're probably trying to implement into their VR that no one else has.
Right. So what if their headsets like you can see other people?
Yeah.
You know what I
yeah, that
mean?
would
Like
be cool.
what if you have a visual of other VR players in the room? Like and
That would be
that's
awesome.
yo, and then that's just it makes VR even more legit, and it gets you that much closer
Yeah.
to true virtual reality. Not
Ha-
like some Sword Art Online stuff. Like not.
have you guys any of you guys actually played VR?
No.
I've only. I've no.
Virtual
I have
Boy.
not. I have not.
I've yeah,
If you go back to
yeah.
the mid '90s, which Nintendo created, the Virtual Boy, yeah. No,
I've
I
I've
haven't even
tried
played
it.
that.
Sears.
I've tried it on my phone because I got a headset from my phone, a Google
Yeah.
headset.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'm in the camp of virtual reality being kind of like 3D. It's just a fad it's gonna come and
Yeah.
go.
It is.
I could have had a free headset with my Samsung Galaxy S7, and that's how like unimportant I see it. That's how unamused. Like I didn't even order it because I'm like I don't care. It doesn't. I don't have no like I have no want to play anything in virtual reality.
Mhm.
I
I
will
don't know.
say
It's me.
that my friend Josh has a HTC Vive, and I've played probably like 2 hours of that thing, a whole bunch of different games, and it really honestly is like a really, really, really mind-blowing experience because, especially with the HTC Vive, because the controllers with that thing are just like so amazing that they can do like anything in the game. But it is like the craziest like experience. Like I'm sure like the VR with like your phone is like nowhere even near how good this stuff is because
Yeah.
once you put that headset on, it really, really does make you feel like you're somewhere else. Like you can like look up in the sky and you feel like you're literally looking up at like the real world sky because like the depth perception and everything is just so spot on.
Hmm.
But yeah, like a Nintendo made VR game would be fucking like amazing because any of the games that I've played weren't really like legit. They're all just kind of like mini games, which I'm pretty sure Resident Evil is like the first like actual non mini game VR game, at least that I could think of. I don't think that Batman game should be considered legit because I watched gameplay of it and it's like a couple hours long. But yeah, if
So
Nintendo made their own game, I think it would really take off.
Metroid VR.
Yeah.
Uh,
So, in all honesty, as even though I think the Switch has this framework to actually make VR mainstream, I think realistically we won't get the best VR experience even from Nintendo until like I think we're 5 years away. So maybe the next Switch iteration, the screen is like a 2K handheld screen that's more powerful, so it's comparable to a Pro or even beyond that in a handheld that you can plug into a headset, and then things will be cheaper. And I think 5 years from now, maybe we could see like a true mainstream VR if that's what Nintendo decides is a good idea.
Hmm.
Yeah. Before we move on, I did want to point
We
out
did hit
something in that.
timers, so point it out.
Okay, just all right. In that Time article, because all the controversy about the Switch not being as powerful as it needs to be. They were asked about the power, and they said certainly graphic quality falls somewhere between our priority, but our feeling is that Nintendo Switch is a system that really has the best balance of being able to create fun and new ways to play, but doing so with the graphic quality that's still good enough while also being one that's easy to develop for. And it got me thinking about games like Steep, and games like the LA Noire remake, remaster, and FIFA 18, FIFA 18, and it just got me thinking. Maybe this system is more powerful than people are thinking
It
it
is.
will be.
It is.
Yeah.
Because these games are that game's Steep. I didn't realize that's an open world game, and that on the Xbox on the one it runs at 900p I think at 30 frames per second, and that's on the Xbox One. And this is coming to the Switch. So how much less? Or I mean,
Okay.
you know what I'm saying? How much less?
This could be a whole other topic, so I'm gonna try to
Yeah,
squeeze it
it
down
can
to
be,
like
but
four
just
minutes.
the point of that that point of the article is that I think it's going to be more powerful than people expect it to be, even
Well,
than I expected it to be.
I
in
see
my
what you're saying.
recent video, I talked about an interview came out from Shinen, and they are responsible for Fast Racing Neo, a few other awesome games. But so they're making Fast RMX, which Fast Remix, which is basically like a super souped up version of Fast Racing Neo on the Wii U. It has like twice the amount of content. And anyways, Fast Racing Neo is one of the best looking Wii U games. It's a beautiful, beautiful game, a beautiful racing game. But on Nintendo Switch, they've added a whole bunch more assets, more details. There's a lot more going on in the world on so keep that in mind. There's a whole bunch more added to the graphics, but on top of that, the game's running at 1080p 60 frames per second, while it only ran at 720p 60 frames per second on the Wii U. But here's another thing: for split screen multiplayer, it had to be 720p 30 frames per second on the Wii U for 4 players. On the Nintendo Switch, it has a whole bunch. It's running everything at 1080p 60 frames per second, even for 4 people on the same system. And that's even considering that they've added even more details and assets to the whole world.
That's
So,
amazing.
and this is essentially a launch game. It's coming out in March, so they haven't had that much time with the system. That's a
Just to back
significant
up your
leap.
point, just to back up your point on this on the that Fast Racing Neo on the Wii U actually drops to 480 at times. Just to back up your point. When
Wow,
it's yeah, it does. It drops to 480 at times.
that's crazy. So yeah, this system is a lot more powerful than Wii U. And actually, there's an interview from Miyamoto where he said if a game is developed ground up for PC, it's very easy to port over to Nintendo Switch. In fact, it would take about a year if it was a major game. And here's the thing is, they didn't really show off the Nintendo Switch to major developers until last summer. And the point that was made during that interview was that we won't see most of those major games announced till E3. So all
Hmm.
those people, they're super concerned about not seeing third-party platform games on the system, like the big AAA ones. Hold out until E3. Because according to Miyamoto, based on when they actually showed off the hardware to the big developers, that's when, around the time we should start seeing those games. So I would hold out hope if you are on the fence about the Nintendo Switch because of the third party support and how it looks. It may look bleak now, but that can change in a few months. So just hold out hope. Anyways, we have to kind of talk about stuff that's away from our outline. So I think we should. I'll kind of cut away from our other topics, but I'll make it work. There's one more thing I want to talk about from the time interview that I think is really important, and it kind of goes hand in hand with what we were talking about for the Super Bowl commercial and marketing and Nintendo, a whole new Nintendo. So, and the Nintendo Switch and how smart it is in terms of design. So they were talking about multiplayer, right? But the thing about the Nintendo Switch is it has local it's a portable system. And one of the things about portable systems that they can't have like console systems is local multiplayer. Not really. But the Nintendo Switch provides that because it literally has two controllers within it. So wherever you go, you can play with other people. And if someone's watching and you have a game, it's like you can literally hand them the controller and you can both start playing. So the way the system is made, it markets itself because portability already markets itself because you have this home console that can go everywhere. So the system is getting seen by more people than any other home console on the market. But on top of that, it has the ability to have local multiplayer wherever you go because it has at least two controllers with you at all times. So other people can play. And it just adds a whole other layer to this experience where other people can see it. And it just, the whole word of mouth strategy that's going to work really well with this system. It is the best system to work around that philosophy. And that can help the Switch market itself a lot better. And I think Nintendo's created a really, really smart system here. The design for this system is very intelligent in terms of, well, pretty much every avenue.
I completely agree.
Yep, agree, Till.
Unanimous. All right, so we ran over time like a lot. So I'm going
That's
to
all right.
cut our next two topics to 8 minutes. So, but let's be effective. So the next topic is Fire Emblem Heroes and Nintendo's mobile strategy in general. So Fire Emblem Heroes came out and it's pretty awesome. Andy, I know you're really, really excited about it. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about Fire Emblem Heroes and just how awesome this game is?
Okay, so I love turn-based strategy games. I love them ever since Final Fantasy Tactics and Ogre Battle. I love turn-based strategy games. I've always liked on when I used to game a lot on my mobile phones. I used to try to download little small indie turn-based strategy games, and they were really cool and really fun. But I've never played something like this that was this polished and this great in Fire Emblem Heroes. Now, it is monetized, but it's monetized in a very great way in the sense that you can play this game. I played it maybe 25 hours. I haven't
Holy
spent a
crap.
dime yet,
The game's been
and
out for what, like 3 days?
yeah, and I've done is just grind. Every 4-star hero that you can which I don't have. I'm not going to explain all that stuff, but every hero that you get, I've been just grinding them. I haven't even been advancing the story really. I've just been having fun grinding because I just love turn-based strategy. So, fantastic game. My favorite mobile Nintendo game so far, and just keep them coming like this because this is great.
Yeah, I mean, it's right up there with Mario Run and Pokemon Go. Like, the top three mobile games ever are Pokemon Go, Mario Run, and Fire Emblem Heroes. Like, Nintendo is going to completely and utterly dominate the mobile market. They already are, but they're gonna own this. They are the kings. Like the way they're the kings of the handheld, they're gonna be even more so the kings of the mobile market. And it's kind of insane when you think about that, right? Like they just came in and they're like, well, we're gonna take this now. I know everyone else was kind of depending on mobile. We're gonna dominate it. It's ours. Like literally, that's what happened. Check the charts. It's insane.
I
Like
also think that it's great that it's so accessible for people who've never played Fire Emblem, which is a lot of people. I mean, no one
yeah,
really Fire Emblem hasn't really was never really a thing before Awakening. I mean, it was very
niche.
underground. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And my girlfriend's never played a Fire Emblem game. She's not really much of a gamer, but she was able to just start playing that game with like no problems, and she's been like obsessed with it. So I mean, I love the fact that it's so accessible for like new people.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, it's
great
very easy
and
to pick up on.
Yeah.
it is. And it just kind of goes hand in hand with Nintendo's marketing. Because all these mobile games will make people want to buy the core franchises on the Nintendo Switch or the 3DS. Look at Pokemon Sun and Moon. It is the best. It's on pace to be the best-selling Pokemon game of all time, and by a long shot because Pokemon Go increased awareness for the Pokemon branding. And Mario Run's increasing the awareness for the Mario branding. And Fire Emblem Heroes is going to increase awareness for the Fire Emblem branding. So Nintendo is setting themselves up here to just be so successful. Like they're so smart with their marketing. With you look at the portability of the system, the Superbowl commercial, the escape rooms, the mobile games. Like they're gonna have movies come out, and if they get knocked down that formula for the movies, like if they're like Pixar level movies, like Nintendo's going to take over the world. They're gonna stop Trump from doing it. Like they're gonna own it
They
in the
could
palm of their
possibly
hands.
do what no other video game franchise has done, and that's make a decent movie. Maybe,
Maybe,
maybe.
maybe, maybe.
I know one thing. I'm gonna be having fun down here in Florida, going to Universal when
Oh my god.
Nintendo
Me
Land
and
comes.
Sean are gonna go to Nintendo Land together.
Oh yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna come too. You know my family's down there, so I have reason to visit. Yeah, that's
And
gonna
one
be
little bit
so
of
epic.
mobile news: Animal Crossing got delayed, which is a bummer for me because I'm a huge Animal Crossing fan.
Hmm.
Yeah, you know what? You know what bothers me about that? And what was it? One of the major video game outlets, instead of they had an article of that, but they didn't say anything about Pokemon selling 15 million copies.
Yeah.
So they only want to advertise the negative of Nintendo. But yeah, that does suck.
I mean, negativity, gets you hits,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and a lot of journalists just care about the hits because that's what they need to succeed.
No.
It's a shame though, because I've taken some journalism courses and like what they teach you, at least I guess what the good teachers try to teach you is that it's about relaying the information to the people. Like you get into the business not for the money, you get into the business because you want to educate people, you want to tell people the truth, you want to get it out there. So when I see journalists, you know, create these crap titles and I'm like, oh well, this is a trash article. Like it just
Hmm.
it's a real shame and it just kind of I think it's dishonorable and I think that they shouldn't be in the business if that's what they're doing. If they're doing it for the
Yeah.
hits.
Well, sadly, if that happens, like 80% of the news out there would go out of business
Well,
That's true.
yeah,
because they're all negative or post like bull crap or. But it is what it is. That's the way. That's the way
that's just
things are now.
it's the way things are. You're right.
But you know what? If they delayed it, if they delayed Animal Crossing to just shine it up a little more and
Yeah.
give us something else like Fire Emblem where it's that quality, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I would
Same
give
here.
I would give Animal Crossing on mobile a try. I mean, it's free to download, right? So like I'll give it a try. I Animal Crossing is one of my lesser liked franchises from Nintendo. Like, I didn't play Animal Crossing on the GameCube, and I think that was probably the best one because it literally had those like virtual console games. But since Virtual Console was released, by the time the next Animal Crossing came out, Nintendo decided to not put those classic games inside Animal Crossing, which kind of takes away a little bit of the draw away from it personally. But I got the DS version, and I enjoyed it, but it's just one of those games where personally I just never found myself coming back to it long enough. I would always forget about the game. They'll come back weeks later, and there'd be weeds everywhere, everywhere, and I was just like, oh well, I have to clean
And
all this
roaches,
up. And
weeds and roaches.
yeah, and Rossetti. Like if I reset the game or I turned it off because or if my problem was by that time I was a kid, so I would just like let the battery die, and the Rossetti would just tear me a new one. Like,
Yeah.
so
20
I'll
minute,
give it a
20
try.
minute. He'd harp on you for 20 minutes,
Yeah, but
not to reset the
I
damn
probably
game.
won't be resetting my phone, so I won't have to do it with Rossetti there, right? Right?
Yep.
I'm not sure.
He's calmed down over the years, though. He's actually not that bad in New Leaf.
Hmm. Interesting. I mean, I thought it was cool, like the fact that they would do that. Like Rossetti would literally like not allow you to do things on your system because like it was just interesting. Like he had power over you. It's interesting.
Oh, if you had a power outage, you're done. Resetti's gonna get you as soon as you turn the game back on. He don't care if it's a power outing or if you accidentally reset it. or your girlfriend tripped over the power cord. He don't
You should
care.
have a gas powered generator backup just in case. Like,
He's gonna give you a equal opportunity ass chewing when you turn that game back on.
yeah. So, I think we've gotten to a point where I think we've covered all the topics. Is there anything that anyone want to talk about in particular in related to the topics we covered tonight?
No, we covered pretty much a lot of
No,
stuff
we did.
Yeah.
within an hour.
Yeah. So, I guess we can talk about what we wanted to talk about before, which is, I guess, what we're playing, right? And who wants to start off? I'll do it. So I've been streaming Resident Evil 4 on my channel, and I've been playing it on professional mode, and it's been kicking my butt, man. Like I just saw like I have over 40 deaths, and I'm halfway through the game. Like I was stuck at a part like inside the castle where thousands of enemies just come at you, and I I've spent hours dying at that one part. And I last stream I did last week, I did that. I was stuck there, and I was stuck there for like an hour or two, and I had to end the stream and I had to go back and do it tonight. And I was stuck there for like an hour, and I was literally thinking like I'm gonna spend this entire night playing this one part of the entire game, and I'm not gonna finish, and I'm gonna have to stream it again, and I'm not gonna finish it. But fortunately, I got past that point. I progressed a little bit, so I've been playing Resident Evil 4, and I'm hoping to actually play the Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, and the Wind Waker before Breath of the Wild comes out on my live
What?
stream. But here's the real catch. I'm gonna do the 3 heart challenge for all 3 games before Breath of the Wild comes out.
No, you're not. You're not
That's
doing that.
that's what
You're
I'm
not
going to try
doing
to do.
that.
That is my goal. I'm going to try to beat all those 3 Zeldas before Breath of the Wild comes out with only 3 hearts. I've never done it before.
I'm gonna run a 15K this weekend. Spoiler alert. No, I'm not.
Oh, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna try. Maybe I'll only beat Ocarina of Time,
That seems more
but
reasonable.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
try to do all 3.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to do 6 hour streams every night.
Stock up on caffeine.
Yeah. So yeah, those are my gaming plans aside from playing Fire Emblem Heroes when I have some spare time.
I guess I'll go next. I've actually been playing 3 games. I've been playing GoldenEye on Nintendo 64, SimCity on the SNES. For some strange reason, I absolutely love that game, and it's so simplistic and
I always
dated,
thought it
but
really looked cool. I would look
I
at magazines and I would always thought that looked really cool.
SimCity for this SNES.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Nintendo based SimCity. I mean, you could put up statues of Mario, and
Oh, it's
it's
cool.
pretty cool. And then I've been playing Animal Crossing New Leaf, but I've been playing that for I think 2 years straight, and I keep playing it.
It's
Can't stop playing it.
it's your second life.
Yeah, 42-year-old man is in love with Animal Crossing.
What is it that you like about those games?
To be honest, the reason I love Animal Crossing is because I have a daughter who's 18, and when she was growing up, we used to play Animal Crossing all the time, and it just kind of stuck with me. Kind of like SpongeBob. I like SpongeBob SquarePants too.
SpongeBob is the best.
I
Yeah,
think
SpongeBob is
SpongeBob
awesome.
is the best show on Nickelodeon.
Yeah, it's for kids and adults.
Well, I take that
It
back.
really is.
Dragon Ball Kai was on Nickelodeon, so SpongeBob's the
Uh,
second best show on Nickelodeon.
Yeah,
uh,
SpongeBob. So that's what I'm playing.
All right, Baby Sean,
Andy, do you want
Andy.
to go or?
Oh yeah, I'll go. All right, so like yeah, I've been playing a lot of Fire Emblem Heroes, obviously. Where we talked about that. I've also been playing Etrian Odyssey. Um, the 3DS and the 2DS, they have so many JRPGs. It's hard to just stick to something and see it through. But Etrian Odyssey, it really is really cool, really unique, a JRPG. And that's a sense that uh, the everything about it, the battle mechanics, they're similar to Pokemon in the sense that you see your enemy in front of you, and like like Earthbound, you see your enemy in front of you, but more like Earthbound, you don't see the hero in front of you. So you're basically just you're attacking and you just see the enemy and that's it. But there's different classes. It's unique in the sense that when you go into the labyrinths or the dungeons, you can actually map out each dungeon. You have a little, where your stylus, you can map out the walls, you can map out where treasure chests are,
Hmm.
stuff like that. It's really cool. Really, really awesome. There's like 4 or 5 of them at Etrian Odysseys. I highly recommend if you guys like JRPGs to check it out. So that's what I've been playing pretty much.
Okay. Actually, I don't know why, but you reminded me of Octopath Traveler, the Square Enix game that was announced for the Nintendo Switch. I think it looks really cool. Like it's a sprite game, but with like HD lighting and shadowing, and it's in like a 3D polygon
Yeah,
world.
Oh,
yeah, it looks
that
cool.
looks really good.
I really want to pick it up. Like I'm pretty excited for that.
Yeah.
But younger Sean, what have you been playing? Have you been playing anything? Did you quit playing video games? You gave up?
No, sadly haven't been playing any Nintendo games besides Smash Bros. Like games that I stream.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't think I should really count that, but
Sure,
there
you can
hasn't really
count
been
that.
any like Nintendo games that have come out. So I mean, I've been playing a ton of World of Warcraft lately, and also Final Fantasy 15, which is actually a pretty good game. I don't know if you guys have played that.
I not yet.
It's pretty good. It's nothing like the old ones, but it's still pretty good. And I've also been playing MLB The Show on the PlayStation. So I've been playing a lot of games, just not any Nintendo games because there hasn't been anything that's come out. So at least
Yeah.
things that have interested me.
Yeah, I mean, well, then it's been a while. We're kind of waiting for the Switch. Like, I don't,
Yeah.
you know.
Yep. Less than a month.
I mean, like,
Yep.
I
It's
basically told you what I'm playing. I'm only playing Resident Evil 4 right now.
Yeah.
Well, I don't really have that much time to. Like, I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna play Breath of the Wild. I'm gonna do it. Don't get me wrong. I'm gonna play Breath of the Wild. I'm gonna play it twice. I'm gonna have a version where I'm gonna stream it, all of it, and I'm gonna play it on my own as well. I'll make time. I'll
Well,
play it in my sleep.
now you could stream while you go to the bathroom.
Yes, actually, I don't know if we can do that.
Just
I'll
have
need a really
Theoretically.
long HDMI cord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I want to do a stream where um I just continuously try and go for the last boss like in my underwear and like beat him up with a stick. Like I want to do like a stream.
Like 3 hours straight of that.
Yeah,
I'm
and
just
see if
trying
I
to
can actually.
beat Calamity Ganon with a stick.
Yeah,
I've
that's
thought
my
about
goal.
doing that too. I guess it's not an original idea, but it's still gonna
Hey,
be fun to
if they
watch.
have a butterfly bug net, maybe that'll work.
Oh
Like
yeah,
in like in
Twilight
Link to the
Princess.
Past.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that too.
Like I wonder how that boss is gonna be. Like it's
Oh,
huge.
can't even
But like is it
imagine.
gonna transform more? Like you're gonna piss it off and it'll
It's
get
got to be a big
bigger?
pig. It's got to be a big pig.
Well,
Has
I
to be,
mean,
right?
He
it's
is
Ganon.
Calamity Ganon, not Ganondorf,
Oh,
so he
He's
could
so
be
maybe
Ganon.
big.
he's not a big pig.
Well, so basically in Ocarina of Time, there is no Ganon yet. Ganondorf becomes Ganon at the end of Ocarina of Time. And then after that point, he can kind of like go in between Ganon and Ganondorf or something. I don't know. It's
But I
weird.
thought he wait
Maybe.
they at Ocarina of Time. I thought he did turn into a giant pig at the end.
He
No.
did at the end.
Oh,
Like that
yeah.
was his first time turning into Ganon.
Oh,
That
gotcha.
was the beginning of Ganon.
Well, maybe. No, Breath of the Wild is a time traveling thing. Maybe at the beginning there's Ganondorf, but when you're in the future, he's Ganon, and that's how he has all this power and stuff because you know how he
Huh.
transforms.
I have no idea.
Maybe,
I've
who knows?
made a lot of timeline videos, and it's I don't know. It's just so
Yeah,
many options.
they've hit a lot about the story, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. And I really want to know what Calamity Ganon is. I think that thing is just gonna be crazy to fight, like with a stick, naked.
Yeah.
Like I don't like the idea of beating it in 15 minutes, but I mean he said that you won't. Like it's just so hard, but it is technically possible.
I'm
which
sure
is
there'll be
cool.
like a crazy like speed run guy who will do it.
You know what? I don't think it's actually kind of because like the stick will break. Like the stick will probably break before you can deal enough damage.
Beat him with your bare hands.
I
Yeah,
don't think you can do
I
that.
don't think there's gonna be a way to do that
I
like
wish.
that.
No.
I think it's gonna be impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
So
maybe you can find a way to pick up enough weapons on the way there that you'll have enough, just enough to kill him. But
That's
like,
true.
but maybe it's just so astronomically hard to do that without really having a set plan and having a lot of skill and dedication that you're not gonna. No one is gonna realistically be able to beat Calamity again. I don't know. We're not gonna find out until we play the game, right? But like,
Yeah.
it's interesting. I don't know.
Nothing is impossible. Look what the Patriots did.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was crazy. They switched it up.
Yep.
All right, everyone. So I think this podcast has run its course. Thank you all for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any suggestions for next week's podcast, please to let us know in the comments below. And again, check out myself, Andres Restart. Check out Monolith Gaming. Check out NintendoAndy and Inside Gaming Online. Please subscribe and like our content, especially if you enjoy it. Anyways, guys, say goodbye.
See you guys.
Bye.
All right.
Later.
See ya.